Hi viewers, welcome back to our channel Make Math Easy. So in the last class I gave you the introduction about maxima and minima, and also we discussed when you can say particular function will have a maximum, when we can say particular function will have a minimum, right? And also we tried to relate that concept of maxima with maxima and minima with the known concept, that is nothing but increasing and decreasing functions, right? So in the last class we described the complete procedure that we are going to follow for identifying the maxima and minima. The standard procedure for the word problems will be, you have to find f dash of x, equate that to 0, then you will get some turning points, and then find f double dash of x. Where you are getting that f double dash of x is greater than 0, then it is showing that it will have a minimum value at that particular point. Where you are having f double dash of x less than 0, there you are getting the maximum value. That is what the definitions that we already decided, and we also named that as a second order derivative test, right? Now along with those things we also discussed two types of maxima and minima. One is local maxima, local minima, and absolute maxima, absolute minima. So what is that absolute maxima and absolute minima? Let us discuss once again, and then we will go into the some problems today. So see, for example, if I have a function f of x is equal to say something like x square minus 2x plus 3, if this is the function given to you. So what you will do, obviously you will find f dash of x is you will be getting 2x minus 2, and you will equate f dash of x to 0, so you will be getting x is equal to 1. Okay, so for example, if I ask you here where x belongs to say some 0 to 3, okay, so 0 to 3 means it is indicating that it is the domain for that function, that is the inputs for that. So you are having x is equal to 1, x is equal to 0, 3. So these are the 3 points where you have to look for the maximum or minimum for a function. So if I substitute f of 1, I am getting 1 minus 2 plus 3, that is 2. If I substitute 0, I am getting 0 minus 0 plus 3 equal to 3. If I substitute 3, I am getting 9 minus 6 plus 3, that is 6 I am getting. So by seeing this, I can be able to say that at 1 I am getting the minimum value, at 3 I am getting the maximum value. At 1 I am getting minimum value and that minimum value is 2. At 3 I am getting the maximum value and that maximum value is 6 here. Now for example, let us say instead of 1 I am getting 2 roots alpha comma beta. Okay, and let us say this domain they had given as an a comma b. Okay, so if you are finding the function values only at at alpha and beta, and you are concluding for the somewhere here if it is the minimum and somewhere here it is the maximum, whatever it may be the value, this type of local minimum and maxima is called as a local minima and local maxima, right? In the similar way, if you are finding the function value at alpha, beta and a and b, that means you are considering the domain also into picture. So if you are finding in this way, and let us say here I am getting the maximum, somewhere here I am getting the minimum. Okay, so this type of maxima minima is called as a global maxima and global minima. So it is just simple thing, like we have a gully cricket player will be there and we have an international cricket player. In the same way, gully cricket player means what will happen, you just have people around in your street, whereas international means you are playing with you are globally playing, right? So that is why we are saying this as a global maxima, global minima, where you are taking domain also into consideration. Whereas in this case you are not taking domain into consideration, you are finding only at the turning points. This type of minima maxima is called as a local minima, local maxima. So in exam, how you can differentiate whether they had asking you local minima, local maxima or absolute minima, absolute maxima? It's a very simple. The another name for global maxima, global minima is absolute maxima and absolute minima. So when they are giving you the domain, it is indirectly they are asking you for absolute or global maxima, global minima. For example, if they are not giving you the domain, then they are talking about local minima, local maxima, right? So this is the very basic concept about the local maxima, local minima, and global maxima, global minima, right? Now let us see few questions which are based on this concept of maxima and minima, and let us see how we are going to follow that. But before doing questions, I just want to revise what like how we related the minima and maxima with increasing and decreasing functions. So if you remember in the last class explanation when I told you that I showed you in the graph like this. If this is the x-axis and y-axis, if I have a graph like this, these are the turning points for me. This is capital A, capital B, and this is capital C. So here I told you one small thing in the last class. At this particular point, if I draw a tangent, this is f dash of x greater than 0, whereas in this case f dash of x is less than 0. This is f dash of x greater than 0, again this is f dash of x less than 0. So if you just observe here, I told you that in the last class, whenever you are seeing the function changes its behavior from increasing to decreasing, then you are resulting in a maximum value, whereas if it is from decreasing to increasing, then it is results in the minimum value b, right? So this concept is really very important. When a function changes from increasing to decreasing, it results in a maximum value, that is at point A. Similarly, at the point B, what is happening? Previously it is decreasing, again it is increasing, so that is giving you the value of minimum. This is important. For example, if you cannot see any type of this change in behavior, then that points are called as a point of inflection. So point of inflection is the point where you cannot figure out any difference in the behavior of the function. So anyway, we will discuss few questions now. With that you will get a clarity. But as of now, remember in this way, increasing to decreasing means that point is resulting in increasing function, that is resulting in the maximum value. If it is from decreasing to increasing, it is result in the minimum value. This is very important concept that you have to remember, because instead of learning it as a new topic, try to learn with the by connecting with the old topics that we are aware of. That will help you to understand in a easy way. Okay. Now let us see few questions. Right. Now see this question. Prove that the function f of x is equal to sin x plus root 3 cos x has maximum yet x is equal to pi by 6 they are saying. Right. Now see this question. You are asked to find that, prove that it has a maximum at x is equal to pi by 6. Now what we will do generally, we will find out f dash of x, sin x derivative is cos x, root 3 cos x derivative is minus sin x, so you will get cos x minus root 3x. Now the point is, what is the need for them to specify only at x is equal to pi by 6, right? That is the important question that you will get once if you start solving this question. Now you just observe here. After that what we will do, we will equate f dash of x to 0, that means cos x minus root 3 sin x is equal to 0 we are getting. Now simplify this, cos x is equal to root 3 sin x. So if you simplify this further, I will be getting tan x is equal to 1 by root 3, implies you will be getting x is equal to pi by 6. This is the reason why they specified the point at x is equal to pi by 6. Because as we already discussed, at the turning points only you can see a change in behavior of a function. That is the reason you can see that maximum at this particular point, because that will act like a turning point, simple as that. So x is equal to pi by 6 we got. Now how to conclude? If you substitute in this f of x, how you can say that there only you are getting a maximum? Because when you have any 2 points for comparison, for example say alpha comma beta, what you will do, I will substitute first alpha, I will substitute beta. Let us say if I am getting f of alpha is equal to 5 and f of beta is equal to 7. As I am having two numbers here, I can say here I am getting minimum, here I am getting maximum. But how you can say when you are having a single value like this, how you can conclude whether it is giving you the maximum or minimum? That's why we are going to do f double dash of x. So for this f of x, I am finding f double dash of x again. That means I am applying differentiation for one more time. Cos x differentiation is minus sin x and then minus root 3 cos x. I will take minus common, sin x plus root 3 cos x. Now see here, find the value of f double dash of x at x is equal to pi by 6. So simple thing, even you no need to calculate also, you just have to get the sign whether it is positive or negative. Simple thing, x is equal to pi by 6 means it's 30 degree. These two are positive in the first quadrant because 30 degrees in the first quadrant. So this entire thing is positive, means minus into positive will become minus, which is less than 0, implies at x is equal to pi by 6, I am getting maximum value. For example, if they ask you what is the maximum value, simple thing, substitute this x is equal to pi by 6 in the function. So if I substitute f of pi by 6, then what will happen? Sin x means sin 30 plus root 3 cos 30. So this is 1 by 2, root 3 into root 3 by 2, 3 by 2, I am getting 2. Right? That's it. So the point you have to understand here is, the common doubt that students will have in maximum minimum is why we are going for the second order derivative test. So why we are going for second order derivative test? Simple thing, when you are getting only single root like this, I cannot come to any conclusion that whether I am going to get the minimum or maximum value. For that sake only I am going to find out the value for second order derivative, and from here I will come to a conclusion whether at that particular point I am getting maximum or minimum. So if they ask you to find out the maximum or minimum value, we just have to substitute the obtained turning point in the function. Anyway, in this question itself they mentioned you that at x is equal to pi by 6. So that is giving you hint that the turning point obviously you are going to get will be pi by 6 only. So that's why you are getting x is equal to pi by 6. Okay. Let us see one more question now. Yeah. Now see this question. They are saying the smallest value of the polynomial in so and so interval they mentioned. Try to understand this question. The smallest value of polynomial, something they had given, f of x is equal to x cube minus 18x square plus 96x in the interval 0 to 9. Okay, 0 to 9. Now see this question, what they are asking actually, that is the important thing. If you just observe, they are asking for the smallest value. What do you mean by smallest value? Indicating minimum value in the interval. So what is it representing? We already discussed, right? Whenever they are mentioning the interval, that means they are talking about the absolute maximum minima or global maximum and minima, right? Still whatever it may be, the procedure will be same only. So let us check. We have to find out f dash of x. I am getting 3x square minus 36x and then plus 96. So I will equate f dash of x to 0 so that I will get some particular points here. So I can take a 3 common here. I will be getting x square minus 12x plus 3 32s are 96 is equal to 0. So I am getting x square minus 12x plus 32 is equal to 0. So this 32 can be written as 18 to 4, that is minus 18 to minus 4, because my requirement is minus 12 plus 32 is equal to 0. So that means I am getting x into x minus 8 minus 4 into x minus 8 is equal to 0, which is x minus 4 into x minus 8 is equal to 0. So that means you are getting x is equal to 8 comma 4. The first thing that you have to do is, whatever turning points you are getting, whether they are belongs to this interval or not, you have to check. You see 8 comma 4 both belongs to 0 comma 9. Sometimes what will happen, no? For example, here if I am getting some another value as a minus 1, then my roots are, my turning points are 8, 4, minus 1. But see here, they asked us to restrict domain in between 0 to 9. In that particular case, you are not supposed to consider minus 1. Though you are getting here, you are not supposed to consider that. Simple reason is, whatever turning points you are going to get, that should belongs to our interval given. Okay. So, you are having now the 4 points here. Along with the 2 turning points, the domain minimum and the maximum value. So, you have to find the function value at f of 0, f of 4, f of 8 and the last is f of 9. So, at these 4 values you have to find out and then you have to come to a conclusion where you are getting minimum or maximum. This is the one way. Otherwise, as we already learned before, find f double dash of x. So, if I find f double dash of x here, I will be getting 2x minus 12. Okay. So, now what I will do, I will just check with 0. F double dash of 0, I am getting negative because minus 12 which is less than 0. F double dash of 4 if I take, still it is negative which is less than 0. F double dash of 8 if I take, it will be positive which is greater than 0. F double dash of 9 if I take, even still this is positive greater than 0. So what is happening here, I have a scope of getting maximum at 0 or 4 and I have a scope of getting minimum at 8 or 9. So what is that minimum value, what is that maximum value, how to know is you have to substitute in the function. Okay. So I am going to substitute now 0, I will be getting 0 only. Now I will substitute 4, that is 64 minus 16 into 18. That means 256 plus 32, 288. And then plus 96 into 4, 384. Right? So 384 plus this one will become 448. 448 minus 288. 448 minus 288. So 0 and then this is 60. 160 I am getting. So let us check with 8 now. So 8 cube itself will be 64 into 8, 512 minus 96 into, 64 into 18. So 64 into 10 will be 640 and 64 into 8, 0 to 48, 512. So I am getting 1152. So 1152 plus 96 into 8. So if I take 96 into 8 means 960 minus 192. Better we will do directly only. 96 into 8, 768. Okay. So let us see how much we are getting. So 768 plus 512, this itself will give us 1270. So 1270 minus 1152. We are getting how much? 1270 minus 1152. 1270, 1152. So this is 8 here. So 1 and then 1. 118 we are getting. Okay. Let us find out at f of 9 now. If you find out at f of 9, 9 cube will become 729. 9 cube will be 729 minus 18 into 81. So this is 18. 8 8 is 64, 144. So 1458 minus 1458 and then plus 96 into 9. So 960 minus 96. So this is 4 and then 95 means it will become 85. Right? So 854. So here if you observe, this itself will give us 729 plus 854. So this is 3, 8 and then 15. 1583 minus 1458. So 13 minus 8 is 5. This is 7 to 125. See, as we discussed already, here we are getting at 0 x cube minus 18x square plus 96x. So you can observe here, at 0 you are getting the minimum value, at 4 you are getting the maximum value, right? So in this particular case, what actually happened is, because as we are finding the absolute maxima or minima, you no need to go for this second order differentiation, which is not giving the positive, correct answer all the time. So for that sake, whenever you are finding the intervals involved in the question, better don't go for the second order differentiation. Straight away you can substitute in the function, so that you will be getting the required answer, right? So almost procedure is same for everything, and second order derivative test is mainly useful whenever you are getting only one turning point, where you cannot come to any conclusion about whether the function is giving you maximum or minimum, right? So this is all, basic questions that we are discussed about the maximum and minimum. In the next class, we will discuss about some more important models from the maximum minimum. Okay. Hope you enjoy this video. If you have any doubts, you can post in the comment section. That will be clarified in the next class. Thank you.